Hello and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year. We are going through the entire Bible in a year, one chapter at a time, recapping as we go. Today we're starting a new book that we're recapping, Song of Songs, which is also called Song of Solomon. You can take your pick. And it opens with a bold and passionate celebration of romantic and physical love. This entire book really is a collection of poetic exchanges between a beloved woman, often in the text called the Shulamite, and her lover, the king or shepherd. They use that interchangeably. In the first chapter, the woman expresses her deep desire for her lover's kiss, declaring that his love is more delightful than wine. She is self-conscious about her dark skin, darkened by working in the vineyards, but the chorus of friends, also called the Daughters of Jerusalem, reassures her. The lovers exchange beautiful compliments, comparing each other to fragrant myrrh, henna, and henna blossoms. The poetry establishes a tone of intense longing, mutual admiration, and a joy of physical attraction within the bounds of committed love. And jumping into chapter 2 of Song of Solomon, the poetic dialogue continues with vivid nature imagery. The woman compares herself to a simple rose of Sharon or a lily of the valleys, but her lover elevates her, saying that she is like a lily among thorns compared to other women. She describes the safety and delight of his love, famously declaring, "His banner over me is love." She asks to be sustained with raisins and apples because she is faint with love. A key refrain is introduced here, and that is this: do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires, a warning to respect the power and timing of romantic intimacy. The chapter then shifts to a springtime scene where the lover calls to her to come away with him. As the winter is past and the flowers are blooming, she joyfully responds, "My beloved is mine and I am his." Song of Solomon 3 now, the tone shifts to a dreamlike sequence of longing and temporary separation. The woman describes lying in a bed at night, searching for the one her heart loves, but failing to find him. Driven by love, she gets up and roams the city's streets and squares, asking the watchmen if they had seen him. When she finally finds him, she holds him tightly and refuses to let him go, bringing him to the safety of her mother's house. She repeats the solemn charge of the Daughters of Jerusalem not to awaken love prematurely. The scene then dramatically changes to a royal wedding procession. King Solomon arrives from the desert in a magnificent carriage made of Lebanon cedar, surrounded by 60 armed warriors wearing the crowns of his mother that he placed on his head on the day of his wedding. And finally, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is detailed, deeply intimate poem of the praise from the lover to his bride. He praises her beauty from head to toe using rich imagery from ancient Near Eastern culture. Her eyes are like doves, her hair is like a flock of goats, which is an endearing comment, even though that doesn't sound endearing when I say that her hair looks like goat hair. Her teeth is white and perfect like newly shorn sheep, and her lips are like a scarlet ribbon. He declares her flawless beauty with no blemish, and then shifts to describing her as a locked garden and a sealed fountain, praising her purity and exclusivity. He lists exotic spices and fruits, pomegranate, nard, saffron, calamus, and the list goes on, to describe the intoxicating delight of her love. The chapter ends with the bride inviting the north and south winds to blow on her garden, inviting her lover to enter and taste its choice fruits. Some pretty strong imagery here, maybe not something you want to read to your children. But in any case, we're going to jump into the New Testament now. We're in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 now. Paul shifts to the topic of spiritual gifts, and now he is correcting the Corinthians' competitive and chaotic use of the gifts. He establishes a foundational rule. True spiritual gifts always exalt Jesus as Lord. He explains that while there are different kinds of gifts, different kinds of service, and different kinds of working, they all come from the same Spirit, the same Lord, and the same God. The Spirit describe gifts such as wisdom, knowledge, faith, healing, miracles, prophecy, distinguishing between spirits, speaking in tongues, and interpreting tongues, individually as he determines for the common good. Paul then introduces the famous metaphor of the human body. The church is one body with many parts. The foot cannot say that one part of the body is not important, and the eye cannot say to the hand that you're not important. Here's what this means in a modern context, and please do not miss this. In the modern Christian, especially American church, it's very, very common for us to elevate certain gifts and not really notice other gifts. In my home church, which is called Living Hope Church in Hayden, Idaho, we make a special emphasis on this. The person who is preaching, giving the word, that person's gift is not more important than the person who is gifted in hospitality. Although our culture has a tendency to elevate the guy with the microphone and not notice the one who is acting out the spiritual gift of hospitality. This is a big problem. It was a problem with the Corinthians, and it's a problem with our modern American church. So my declaration to you, whoever's listening to this right now, Paul is saying that your gift, whatever your gift is valuable, it is important, and it is part of the body of Christ. Just because you're not the one evangelizing on the street corner or you're not the one preaching the gospel on the stage, that is not relevant. You are part of the body, and the body of Christ will prevail. All right, we're going to end today's episode by reading Psalms 99, verses 1 through 9, and it goes like this. The Lord reigns, let the nations tremble. He sits enthroned between the cherubim, let the earth shake. Great is the Lord in Zion, he is exalted over all nations. Let them praise your great and awesome name, he is holy. The king is mighty, he loves justice. You have established equity. In Jacob you have done what is right, just and right. Exalt the Lord our God and worship at his footstool as he is holy. Moses and Aaron were among his priests. Samuel was among those called on his name, and they called on the Lord, and he answered them. He spoke to them from a pillar of cloud. He kept the statutes and decrees he gave them. Lord our God, you answered them. You were to Israel as a forgiving God, though you punished their misdeeds. Exalt the Lord our God and worship at his holy mountain, for the Lord our God is holy. Alrighty, a little bit of a longer episode today, but that's it for today, and I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.